Imagine a congressional hearing room in D.C., the kind of place where marble echoes and egos clash louder than a reality show reunion. The air's thick, not with anticipation, but with something, like everyone knows a storm's coming but forgot their umbrella. Cameras hum, staffers tap laptops, and at the witness table sits Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, jaw tight, smile faker than a knockoff Gucci bag. He's got that "I've been here before" vibe, the one he perfected during his confirmation hearings. But today's not about getting a robe. It's about answering for what he's done with it. Up at the committee desk, Representative Jasmine Crockett, a Texas firebrand with a public defender's grit, flips through yellow highlighted pages like she's prepping for the bar exam. No small talk, no nerves, just the kind of focus that makes you wonder if she's got a photographic memory or just a grudge. The clerk's voice cuts through. "The gentlewoman from Texas is recognized." Jasmine's mic glows red. She clears her throat, locks eyes with Kavanaugh, and drops a line that's polite but sharp enough to cut glass. "Justice Kavanaugh, I'm asking for direct answers, not opinions. Respect my time." Eyebrows shoot up. A staffer nearly drops her coffee. Crockett's not yelling, but she's not here to play nice either. She's got the vibe of a lawyer who's cross-examined liars in rooms way tougher than this. Kavanaugh leans forward, adjusts his nameplate like it's a shield, and flashes a smile that's all teeth, no soul. "Congresswoman, I'm happy to clarify within the scope of judicial independence, but if this is political, I'll have to object. Respectfully." The respectfully lands like a wet sock. Jasmine doesn't blink. "With all due respect, Justice, this isn't a courtroom. You don't get to decide what's relevant." A cough echoes. Someone scribbles. The room tilts, not because she's loud, but because she's steady. She's been in trenches, 400 cases, state and federal, from Dallas to D.C., and she's not fazed by a robe or a title. "Let's start with your 2019 opinion in Breyer v. Connex Energy," she says, voice calm but cutting. "You wrote that federal agencies can't impose penalties without Congress's explicit say-so. Agencies cannot invent their own power," you said. "Correct?" Kavanaugh nods, cautious. "I stand by that." She flips a page. "So how do you square that with your Lofton v. Interstate Securities concurrence, where you backed the SEC's power to fine a firm under broad interpretive powers?" The room holds its breath. Kavanaugh's eyes narrow. He sips his water, more stalling than thirst. "You're mischaracterizing Lofton," he says. "If you let me explain—" She cuts him off, polite but surgical. "I read your footnotes, Justice. Which part of agencies cannot invent power bends when it suits you?" An aide behind Kavanaugh types furiously. The committee chair leans forward but doesn't stop her. This is rare. A freshman rep commanding a room like she's argued before the Supreme Court itself. "I came prepared," Jasmine says, "and I've spent enough time in courtrooms to spot a dodge." Kavanaugh raises a brow, trying to reclaim the high ground. "Congresswoman, these hearings can be complex for those new to the judicial system." Oof. The condescension's thicker than a bad Tinder bio. A few heads snap up. Jasmine's unfazed. "I've handled over 400 cases, federal and state. I know how this works, and I don't need a robe to spot double standards." No theatrics, just facts, backed by years of grinding in Texas courtrooms, not chasing sound bites. Kavanaugh shifts, resting an arm on the table like he's chilling at a barbecue. But his tone's got an edge now. "Let's keep it civil. I'm not here to be cross-examined." Jasmine folds her hands. "You're right, but I didn't swear an oath to play nice. I swore to uphold the Constitution and hold folks accountable when they twist it." The tension's real now. An older guy in a navy suit, probably a legal advisor, crosses his arms. Jasmine pushes forward. "Your rulings shape millions of lives, so when your written decisions clash with your oral arguments, we've got a right to ask why." Kavanaugh cuts in, sharper. "I reject any contradiction. Legal reasoning evolves with context. Your training should have covered that." A soft gasp from the committee table. Jasmine leans in. "Context? Like how you said in Smithsonian vs. Labor Board that workers can't strike during federal review, but in redline trucking you backed corporate delays over injunctions. Is that context or just preference?" Kavanaugh opens his mouth, but she talks over him, calm but firm. Because what you call evolution looks a lot like convenience. He snaps, "That's a misreading." She doesn't budge. "Then explain why the law bends for corporations, but stiffens for workers. The American people are listening." Silence. Kavanaugh's lips press tight. A journalist scribbles. A mic adjusts in the gallery. "Facts don't need to shout," Jasmine says. "They just wait to be answered." It's not her volume. It's her clarity. A rep from Arizona whispers to her neighbor, smirking. Kavanaugh flips through his rulings, hand lingering on his water glass. The power's shifting not with fireworks, but with the quiet weight of someone who won't be dismissed. "Let's talk Chevron deference," Jasmine says, flipping pages. "In 2018, you said courts shouldn't defer to agencies on ambiguous statutes unless Congress was crystal clear. Still believe that?" Kavanaugh shifts. "My view's consistent. Courts ensure agencies follow congressional intent." She glances at her notes. "Funny, because in Benson v. Reese Airtech, you cited Chevron to uphold the EPA's authority, even when the statute was, your words, textually uncertain." He blinks, once, twice. The interpretation was reasonable. Statutory construction has nuance. "Nuance," she interrupts. "Or selective application?" The words hang. She doesn't explain. She lets them land. Kavanaugh's eyes narrow. "You're cherry-picking." She flips to a second folder, holding up a timeline of rulings. "Let's look at the pattern. I reviewed 15 of your decisions on regulatory authority. 12 sided with corporations challenging enforcement. The other 3 backed agencies only when it meant deregulation." Kavanaugh exhales through his nose. "This isn't about politics," Jasmine says. "It's about integrity. Either the law's consistent, or it's a tool for those with the best lawyers." Silence. Even the cameras seem to pause. Kavanaugh pushes back. "You're misrepresenting the procedural posture." Jasmine nods like a lawyer granting an objection, then fires back. "Procedural posture doesn't explain your Rivera v. OSHA dissent, where you called safety standards a disproportionate burden. That wasn't posture. It was philosophy." She pauses. "I get it. You've got a worldview. But don't tell me the Constitution demands one thing in March and another in July." Kavanaugh glances at the chair, then his binder. No answer. "My job isn't to embarrass you," Jasmine says. "It's to ask why Americans are told the law's neutral when your rulings suggest otherwise. Justice isn't theory, it's food on the table, clean air, a shot to sue when a company poisons your kid." Kavanaugh looks down. The silence screams. She flips to another section. "In Lang v. ShoreMed, you ruled home healthcare workers lacked standing to sue for underpayment because they weren't directly tied to the employer. But in Coleman Freight versus DOT, you let a logistics firm dodge liability by claiming its contractors had independent discretion. See the pattern?" Kavanaugh adjusts his mic. "Each case has unique facts and precedent." Jasmine raises a hand. Not rude, but firm. When outcomes consistently shield the powerful and screw working families, it's not coincidence. A senator shifts. An aide hides a grin. "I've stood with women fired for reporting abuse," Jasmine says, softer now. "I've defended kids trapped in broken systems. Your rulings don't vanish after the gavel. They hit real people. In Felderville v. Commonwealth Housing, you said judicial immunity blocked victims of housing neglect from suing, citing institutional stability. But where's the stability for families with collapsing ceilings or mold-sick kids?" Kavanaugh opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. "I'm not asking for pity," she says, eyes locked on him. "I'm asking for accountability." The room's electric. "I've heard enough about judicial restraint," Jasmine says. "Restraint without balance is neglect. When people lose faith in fairness, the law looks like privilege," in a Latin accent. Kavanaugh blinks. He's not ready for this, not for someone who doesn't need to yell to be heard. He flips his binder, then stops. Jasmine closes her folder. "If there's a good faith reason for your contradictions, I'm listening." Nothing. "If it's just word games," she adds, "the silence speaks loudest." Boom. The line hits like a mic drop without the drop. Online live stream clips explode. Texts fly in D.C. offices. Crockett hounds Kavanaugh trends on X. Kavanaugh exhales through his nose like a bull in a cartoon. "This isn't politics," Jasmine says. "It's integrity. Either the law's steady or it's a toy for those with the fanciest lawyers." Silence. The cameras might as well be holding their breath. Kavanaugh pushes back. "You're twisting the procedural posture." Jasmine nods, like a lawyer indulging a weak objection, then strikes. "Posture doesn't explain your Rivera v. OSHA dissent, where you called safety standards a disproportionate burden." That was philosophy, not procedure. She pauses. "I get it. You've got a lens. But don't tell me the Constitution flips like a coin. Heads in March, tails in July." Kavanaugh glances at the chair, then his binder. Nada. "My job's not to shame you," Jasmine says. "It's to ask why we're sold a neutral law when your rulings lean one way. Justice isn't theory, it's food on the table, clean air, a chance to sue when a company poisons your kid." Kavanaugh looks down. The silence roars. She flips another page. "Take Lang v. Shoremed. You said home healthcare workers couldn't sue for underpayment, no direct employer tie, but in Coleman Freight vs. Dot, you let a logistics firm dodge liability because its contractors had independent discretion. Spot the trend?" Kavanaugh tweaks his mic. "Cases have unique facts and precedent." Jasmine raises a hand, not rude, but taking space. "When outcomes keep shielding the powerful and stiffing families, it's not random." A senator shifts. An aide stifles a grin. "I've stood with women fired for calling out abuse," Jasmine says, softer. "I've fought for kids stuck in broken systems. Your rulings don't fade post-gavel. They hit real people. In Felderville via Commonwealth Housing, you said judicial immunity blocked housing neglect victims from suing, citing institutional stability. Where's the stability for families with crumbling ceilings or kids sick from mold?" Kavanaugh opens his mouth, but it's empty. "I'm not begging for tears," she says, eyes locked. "I'm demanding accountability." The room's electric. Think Beyoncé dropping a surprise album. "I'm done with judicial restraint lectures," Jasmine says. "Restraint without balance is neglect. When folks lose faith in fairness, the law's just privilege with a Latin degree." Kavanaugh blinks. He's not prepped for this. Not for someone who doesn't need to scream to dominate. He flips his binder, then freezes. Jasmine shuts her folder. "If your contradictions have a good faith explanation, I'm all ears." Crickets. "If it's just word play," she adds, "your silence says plenty." Boom. The line's a knockout punch, no gloves needed. Live stream clips explode. D.C. offices buzz with texts. Crockett Town's Kavanaugh trends faster than a cat video. No captions, just a congresswoman carving through a justice's armor with surgical calm. Across the aisle, Congressman Lowell Dunn, a conservative who's seen it all, mutters to his staffer, "She's not here to mess around." Spot on. Crockett's not chasing drama. She's got receipts and a law degree sharper than a Marvel villain's claws. C-SPAN zooms in on her face. Steady, unshakable, like she's channeling Elle Woods with better binders. Media row phones light up. Her line, "Let the silence speak," is viral, hitting legal blogs and news feeds. Jasmine glances at the chair. "Got time left?" He nods. 1 minute. She faces Kavanaugh. "For the record, does precedent matter less when it helps workers over industry?" He clears his throat. "I don't buy your premise." She sits still. "The public will judge that." It's not showy, it's calculated. An aide slips Kavanaugh a note. He glances, stone-faced. A Capitol staffer texts the moment to a pal. In a Michigan dorm, law students ditch their pizza and torts notes. "Who's this?" one asks. "Jasmine Crockett," another says. "Ex-public defender. She's built different." Jasmine shifts her posture. "I'm not here for points. It's about why justice feels like a luxury good." Kavanaugh's slow. "It's not a luxury. It's a process." Her eyebrow lifts, unimpressed. Tell that to the family evicted over a technicality, or the vet who can't sue a pharma giant because of a jurisdictional sidestep. Dunn leans forward, Mike catching his grumble. She's got a point. No one counters. As her time wraps, Jasmine thanks the chair and mutes her mic. No smirk, no flex, just focus. Kavanaugh shuffles papers, faking calm, but the room's not his. The next speaker, a Nevada rep, drones on, but it's white noise. Eyes stick to Jasmine. Kavanaugh adjusts his jacket, jots notes, but he's playing catch-up, not leading. 10 minutes later, the chair calls her for a follow-up. Her mic glows. One last question, she says. You said legal reasoning evolves with context. Sounds flexible, but it can mean inconsistency. So, when you read the Constitution, who do you see benefiting? It's simple, but a gut punch. Kavanaugh shifts. I don't see anyone. I follow the law. She waits. I follow precedent, he adds. She lets the silence stretch, then says, I see a mom juggling 2 jobs, a worker injured because someone skipped a safety check, a kid in a busted classroom with no AC and torn books, people who can't hire a legal Avengers team to fix a broken system. When the law tilts toward power, they lose what they can't replace. Kavanaugh's hands clasp tight. I can't let emotions steer rulings, he says, defensive. She shakes her head. No one's asking for that. But justice without empathy is math, and math doesn't always tell the human story. The room's silent as a graveyard. I follow the Constitution too, she says. Equal protection, not theory, not privilege, equal results, equal accountability. Nods, ripple, even from across the aisle. Kavanaugh shuts his binder. Closing that? She asks, gentle but piercing. We've got time. He's done. Nothing to add. She leans back. Then let the public decide if silence means clarity or guilt. Mic drop, encore. The chair cuts in, neutral. Thank you, Congresswoman. She mutes her mic, steady as a rock. Kavanaugh stares ahead. His aides whisper, but he's checked out. The room's hers. The hearing limps on, but Jasmine's work is done. She packs her folders into a black leather case and slips out with the same calm she brought in. No camera grins, no reporter banter, just a nod to her chief of staff trailing behind. Outside, a crowd's swelled. Bigger than a typical Wednesday. A few clap, someone yells her name, but she keeps moving. The job's not over. Inside, the Capitol's buzzing. A Senate aide texts, she caged him with his own record. MSNBC's splicing footage, raw, no fluff. The clip hits 2 million views, titled, She Didn't Shout, She Shined. TikTok's on fire, law students and Gen Z activists slap captions like, Crockett's the GOAT, and Kavanaugh got schooled. In her office, Jasmine's munching cold fried chicken from a takeout box, scanning a housing bill. Viral fame's not her deal. Holding power's feet to the fire is. She flashes back to Dallas, 2018. Hunched over a thrifted desk in her apartment, drafting criminal justice reforms the Texas State House ignored. She'd stay up till 2 a.m., defending clients like Maria, a single mom stiffed by a corporate landlord who used loopholes to dodge accountability. Will this ever matter? She'd wonder. Now it does. People hear her. In Phoenix, Arlen, a warehouse worker, watches the clip at a bus stop. He knows Rivera Verosia. He got hurt when safety rules were deemed too costly. She gets it, he mutters, fist bumping the air. In Youngstown, Tanya, a single mom, wipes tears watching Jasmine's voice. Not loud, but real. It's her anger, finally voiced. In Chicago, Professor Elena Martinez, a constitutional law scholar, pauses her lecture to show the clip. This, she tells her students, is how you use the law as a mirror, not a mask. In Atlanta, a Gen Z TikToker named Kai stitches the clip with, Jasmine's out here serving justice like it's a 5-star Yelp review. In a DC break room, 2 aides, one Republican, one Democrat, replay it. She keeping this up? One asks. The other shrugs. She's just warming up. In Kavanaugh's office, his chief aide drops a stack of press inquiries. Headlines scream, Crockett's masterclass, Kavanaugh silenced, his team's in chaos, Googling how to unviral a video like it's a tech support issue. Kavanaugh skims the list and mutters, no comment. What's he gonna say? She didn't diss him. She wielded his words like a lightsaber. By morning, it's everywhere. Legal panels praise her precision. Late-night hosts quip, "Kavanaugh met his match," and "she brought a binder bigger than his ego." Jasmine strides the Capitol halls in a navy blazer, no makeup, nodding to staffers like it's just Thursday. An intern stops her. "That was the bravest thing I've seen here." She smiles. "Not brave, just my job." That's the tea. She didn't break decorum or grandstand. She held a justice accountable with facts, refusing to let him slip away. People see it. Calm as power, facts as punches, truth as armor. A Senate aide texts. She boxed him in with his own record. MSNBC's splicing footage, raw, no frills. The clip hits 2 million views fast, titled, "She didn't raise her voice, but she raised the bar." TikTok's buzzing. Law students and Gen Z activists add captions like, "Crockett's the GOAT," and "Kavanaugh got schooled." Back in her office, Jasmine's eating cold fried chicken from a takeout box, reviewing a housing bill. Going viral's not her thing. Holding power to account is. She thinks back to Dallas, late nights drafting reforms the Texas State House ignored. She wondered if it'd matter. Now it does. People are listening. In Phoenix, Arlen, a former warehouse worker, watches the clip at a bus stop. He knows Rivera V-A-O-S-E-A. He lived it, injured when safety rules were too burdensome. "She gets it," he mutters. In Youngstown, Tanya, a single mom, wipes tears watching Jasmine's voice. Not dramatic, but real. It's her frustration, finally spoken. In a D.C. break room, 2 aides, one Republican, one Democrat, replay the clip. "Think she'll keep this up?" one asks. The other shrugs. She's not done. In Kavanaugh's office, his chief aide brings press inquiries. He skims headlines. Crockett's masterclass, Kavanaugh silenced, and says, "No comment." What can he say? She didn't insult him. She used his words and let them burn. By morning, the story's everywhere. Legal panels dissect her precision. Late-night hosts joke, "Kavanaugh met his match and she brought a binder." Jasmine walks the Capitol halls in a navy blazer, no makeup, nodding to staffers like it's just Thursday. An intern stops her. "That was the bravest thing I've seen here." She smiles. "It wasn't brave. It was my job." That's the point. She didn't break decorum or grandstand. She held a justice accountable with facts, refusing to let him wiggle free. People see it. Calm as power, facts as fists, truth as armor. For Arlen, Tanya, and millions watching, it's personal. The system's not just for the connected. The Constitution's not a VIP pass. Justice without accountability is theater. And Jasmine's not here for the script. She proved knowledge isn't just a tool. It's a blade. Kavanaugh realized too late he wasn't facing a protester or a tweet. He was up against someone who knows the law as well as he does. Maybe better. That's what shut him up. The lesson? It's not red versus blue. It's preparation, precision, and guts to speak when silence is easier. You don't need to yell. Just be ready with facts, clear as day, and stand firm when they push back. When your truth makes them quiet, you've won. So, what's Chevron deference anyway? It's like letting a shady landlord interpret the lease however they want. Courts defer to agencies on vague laws, assuming they know best. Kavanaugh's waffled on it, backing agencies when it suits deregulation, not when it protects workers. Standing? It's the legal, "you can't sue unless you're directly harmed" rule. Think of it as needing an invite to crash a party. Kavanaugh's used it to block workers, but let corporations skate. The Supreme Court's 9 justices shape your life, your job, your air, your rights, through rulings that aren't just paper, they're power. When they flip-flop, it's not context, it's a choice. Jasmine showed us. Call it out, stay calm, and let the truth do the rest. Share this. Talk about it. Don't let silence win. For Arlen, Tanya, and millions watching, it's personal. The system's not just for the elite. The Constitution's not a country club pass. Justice without accountability is a scripted show, and Jasmine's rewriting the plot. She proved knowledge isn't just a tool. It's a weapon. Kavanaugh realized too late he wasn't facing a protester or a viral tweet. He was up against someone who knows the law as well as he does. Maybe better. That's what zipped his lips. So what's Chevron deference? Picture a shady landlord twisting a vague lease however they want. Courts defer to agencies on murky laws, assuming they're the experts. Kavanaugh's played both sides, backing agencies for deregulation, but not for worker protections. Standing? It's the "you can't sue unless you're directly hurt" rule, like needing a VIP wristband to crash a party. Kavanaugh's used it to block workers but let corporations slide. Precedent? It's like your grandma's pie recipe. Change it, and it's not the same pie. But Kavanaugh tweaks it when it suits power. The Supreme Court's 9 justices shape your world, your job, your air, your rights, with rulings that aren't just paper. They're power moves. When they flip-flop, it's not context. It's a choice, and your paycheck feels the hit. Jasmine showed us. Call it out, stay cool, and let truth do the heavy lifting. Keep this energy. Share it, talk it up, don't let silence win. Truth's like Wi-Fi, weak in spots, but it connects if you keep searching.